Shocking news. A Trump associate has been arrested. What? I know, right? It's like, how many more are left? It feels like everyone around Trump has been put in cuffs. His CFO, his lawyer, his campaign manager, his other campaign manager, his campaign manager after that, his deputy campaign manager, his fundraisers, his advisors. Basically, every single person Donald Trump has ever met has gone to prison. And I know what you're saying. Trevor, Eric has never been to prison. Yeah, that's because he never met him, you dumbass. I said met. You realize now there are enough Trump people in jail to start their own prison gang, right? There's gonna be like, yo, that's the Latin Kings, that's the Aryan Brotherhood, and them over there, that's the Trump cabinet, man. Those MFers are loco. They're crazy. And now another Trump associate has been arrested for the second time, and it's Steve Bannon. Yes, Trump's former chief advisor, and what happens when you wait too long to clean out your fridge. You see, he's in trouble in the state of New York, and what he's in trouble for probably won't surprise you at all.
This morning, longtime Trump advisor Steve Bannon facing a new criminal indictment as he turns himself into authorities here in New York, accused of siphoning money from the group called We Build the Wall, an online campaign to build a section of President Trump's border wall that raised $25 million. The founders claiming that every penny would go to construction, promising those who donated a brick in the wall with their name on it. Prosecutors say instead, Bannon and his associates lined their pockets with large sums of that money. Bannon now calling the charges phony and a political weaponization of the criminal justice system, saying, I am never going to stop fighting. They will have to kill me first.
Oh, they will have to kill me first. What a little bitch. Why don't you get into a shootout with the cops? Huh? They have to kill me first. This guy's acting like a gangster while he's surrendering to the police. You'll never take me alive, coppers. Please put the handcuffs on gently. Yeah. My wrists are so soft. But yeah, once again, Steve Bannon is going to court over allegations that he defrauded Trump supporters over the wall. And can I just ask, how long are the MAGA crowd going to keep falling for this shit, huh? Trump's people have been fleecing them for 7 straight years, and still they're like, Don Jr. says he needs $2 million to reclaim his throne as the Prince of Nigeria. Let's give him the money, honey. And just by the way, kudos to the prosecutors who even thought to investigate Steve Bannon for stealing millions of dollars. Because I won't lie, I would have never suspected this guy. Yeah, this guy doesn't look like he has $15. Look at him, he does millions of dollars. He looks like he sublets from Oscar the Grouch. I wouldn't have suspected him of having the money. Now, if we had the time, we could talk more about how instead of convincing MAGA supporters that Trump world is basically a hotbed of criminal activity, they're so drunk on his Kool-Aid that instead it just convinces them that they're the most persecuted group in human history. Why do they keep charging us with crimes just because we keep committing crimes? It's not fair. But we don't have the time to talk about any of that because while Trump's inner circle is in trouble with the law, it turns out that some of his biggest supporters are the law.
The Anti-Defamation League Center on Extremism has released a detailed membership list, it says, for the far-right militia group, the Oath Keepers. It poured over 38,000 names from the leaked list and says it found hundreds of current and former elected officials, law enforcement officers, first responders, and members of the military.
The ADL says those names include 81 people who were serving in or running for public office, 373 people believed to currently be serving in law enforcement agencies across our country, and 117 people currently serving in the U.S. military.
Right now, more than a dozen Oath Keepers, including the group's founder, are facing charges for their roles in the January 6th riot.
That's right. The Oath Keepers, a right-wing extremist group, just had their membership leaked, right? The entire membership list was leaked. And it turns out that hundreds of them are active members of the government, military, or law enforcement, which is pretty concerning. I mean, I don't want to get beaten up by a cop because he's part of some racist organization telling him to do it, you know? I want him to beat me up because he's racist for the love of the game, you know? Do it for yourself. I do have a question, though. Why does a secretive group keep a list of everyone's name? It's just careless, you know? Yeah, that's why they'll never run the world like the Illuminati. The Illuminati is smart. They don't make stupid mistakes like that. They'll never give it away. You laugh like I'm really in the Illuminati. You're like, ha ha, we got you, Trev. I will must say, it's getting hard to keep track of all of these extremist groups now. You know, it's like the Oath Keepers, the Proud Boys, the Patriot Front. It's like the list never ends. I actually feel bad for extremists, you know, because they've got to join all of these different groups, like they're subscribing to different streaming services, you know. I wonder if they share accounts. Like, can I jump on your account for the KKK Plus? I can't afford all these hate groups right now. Now, look, we could talk more about how it almost doesn't matter that some elected officials are oath keepers because there's already a conspiratorial anti-government ideology leading the Republican Party right now. But we don't have the time for that because while some people are trying to overthrow the government, a city in Europe is trying to overthrow your diet.
The Dutch city of Haarlem may be the world's first to ban most meat advertising. The Green Links, that's a green political party, has faced opposition from the meat sector and some who say it stifles free speech. But it says the meat ads need to be banned to prevent climate change.
The Dutch are weird. No, they are. Like, drugs are legal, but they're cracking down on meat? So what, soon dealers in Amsterdam are going to be in the streets like, here's your heroin! Yo, meet me out back if you want some ribs, man. But yeah, a city in the Netherlands is banning meat ads because eating meat is a major contributor to climate change. Right? And this is a big move because, you know, meat advertisements have been around since the beginning of time. That's basically what the cave drawings were, right? It was like, yo, if you see this, eat it. Trust me. And look, I get it. You don't want to encourage people to do something that's bad for the planet. You know, it's why we don't allow ads for Barbie's dream coal plant. But I don't know about banning meat ads. You know, what I do think they should do is make meat ads a little less sexual. Maybe that should be the law. You know what I'm talking about. Especially in America, every fast food commercial is like, you know you want our juicy beef patties in your mouth. It's like, so big and meaty, yeah. Dip your nuggets in our special sauce, Daddy. It's like, damn, Wendy's, I'm with my nephew, chill. I'll call you after. Now, if we had more time, we could talk about why so little climate policy focuses on the livestock industry, even though it accounts for around 15% of all greenhouse gas emissions. I mean, we always hear about how the cows emit methane, and I'm sure the cows are like, how about you stop eating us first, and then we could talk about whether or not we should stop farting. But we don't have the time for that, because while the Dutch are getting rid of meat, a Texas judge is getting rid of gay people's health care.
A new ruling in Texas today is dealing a sucker punch to a key provision of the Affordable Care Act. A federal judge says that employers are not required to cover drugs that prevent HIV infections in their health care plans, adding that mandated coverage by the government of those medications violates their religious beliefs. This was a lawsuit brought by a group of Christian conservatives. Their argument, literally one of their arguments they made is they don't want to pay for these drugs because they, quote, facilitate or encourage homosexual behavior, which is contrary to their religious beliefs.
Yeah, you heard that right. A Texas court says religious employers don't have to include HIV medication in their healthcare plan because then the employees might be more likely to have gay sex. And this would violate the employer's rights because it makes the employer complicit in the gay sex, which is the most ridiculous argument I've ever heard in my life. Yeah, because then by that logic, where do you draw the line, huh? Employers can say that any medical coverage makes gay sex more likely. Eye exams. Oh, so you want to see more men to have gay sex with? Huh? Everything. Physical therapy. Oh, so you'll have the stamina for more gay sex? Dental insurance. Oh, so you'll have a nice smile that'll make me want to have gay sex with you? Nice try, Gary. Nice try. And you know this is the kind of religious exemption that only evangelical Christians get to claim. They'll be like, oh, we're Christians, so we can discriminate. Let's see what happens the first time a Muslim employer says, I'm not going to pay my workers. What if they use the money to buy bacon? I can tell you now, no Texas judge is going to be like, well, who am I to question the teachings of Allah? Who am I? Also, for the record, wasn't Jesus the one curing lepers for free? Huh? He wasn't showing up asking questions like, yo, before I heal you, you didn't get this leprosy from doing butt stuff, right? I just want to make sure. Now, obviously, we could definitely talk more about how the notion of religious liberty has been expanded so much in this country that it now basically allows conservatives to discriminate against anyone. But we don't have the time for that because there is one story that came in and conquered all the other news, and it's about the Queen.
We do have this breaking news just coming in from Buckingham Palace. Queen Elizabeth II has died just hours after her doctors said they were concerned for her health. The 96-year-old queen has been at Balmoral Castle in Scotland. Among the people with her at Balmoral, her 4 children, Andrew, Anne, Edward, and Charles, who is now officially king, automatically ascending to the throne upon the announcement of his mother's death. The Queen, of course, the longest reigning monarch in British history and one of the longest reigning ever.
The Queen has died, and long live the King.
Yes, it's official. At the age of 96, Queen Elizabeth II passed away today. And, I'm not going to lie, it's been interesting to see how varied the reactions to this news have been. The full spectrum of emotions. Everything from, how will the kingdom carry on, all the way to, you shouldn't have colonized India, bye, bitch. It's been really broad. But whatever you think about the royal family or the monarchy, you've got to admit, it's insane how long Elizabeth sat on the throne. She came to power in 1952. You understand how long that is? That means she's seen Adam West as Batman, Michael Keaton as Batman, Christian Bale as Batman, Ben Affleck as Batman, survived that, and then saw Robert Pattinson as Batman. And look, I'm sure there's a better way to measure time than in Batman, but you get it. She's been in the game for a minute. And on top of that, she was a queen, the real deal. Because these days, that term gets thrown around way too much. Yeah, you just post a photo of your smoothie online, and everyone's like, yeah, self-care queen. No, that doesn't make you a queen. Right, you're a duchess of self-care at best. Now, in case you're wondering, Prince Charles is now going to be the king, which, let's be honest, is much better than being Prince. I mean, he's 73 years old, right? And until today, he still had the same title as his own grandchildren. That was weird. Yeah, the world wasn't made for an old prince. I can tell you now, there's no one in a Disney movie who's like, someday my prince will come and he'll wear orthopedic shoes and eat cottage cheese for every meal. Oh. Like, Charles is so old, he's going to be the first royal to ascend the throne in one of those motorized stair lifts. That's how old he is.